All right, so to get back to the whole happiness thing, let's have a look at the history of happiness and how and when it was studied. So we're going to go way, way back to Socrates in sort of like 400-ish BC and around that time. And he thought that you could gain rational control over your desires and harmonize different parts of the soul to produce a divine-like state of inner tranquility that the external world could not affect. Apparently that is happiness. So he thought it was all about inner tranquility and inner peace. He also thought that if you lived a moral life, you lived a happier life. So by doing good things and doing good things for other people, you would be happier. And the more good you were, the happier you were. He also, just to sum up his little bit, thought that happiness was an unconditional good and always the end goal of our activities. And he also thought, I feel like I'm just listing things off here, but he also thought that happiness does not depend on external things, but it can be influenced by external things because it depends on how you use them. For example, money doesn't make you happy, but how you use money makes you happy. Food doesn't make you happy, but what you choose to eat and when you choose to eat it makes you happy. Any thoughts on that?
Socrates was a smart man.
He was.
Yeah, I think as far as happiness goes, everything I've learned, all of my experience in life, all of the people I've met who have suffered bad situations and people that have just had good situations, everything tells me it's about the way in which people look at the world. It's to do with your attitude. It's to do with the way in which you interpret things. You know, you've got that whole, is the glass half full or half empty? And it kind of comes down to that if you want to make it really basic. And I think Socrates falls on the side of saying the glass is half full. But it's all about your mentality. It's the way in which you look at things. So an example would be, I went up to my friend the other day and I was saying, you know, my YouTube's doing great. It's increased and, you know, I'm going to be collaborating with this person and my relationship's great. And he was just basically annoyed. And he said, your life just always goes good. And I thought about it and I went, well, actually, no, it's just that's what I focus on. How I haven't told you, I've been with you for 2 hours. I haven't told you that I found my bike down the end of my road like 2 days ago and it's been vandalized and I have to pay out for it. I haven't told you that I got a speeding ticket the last time I went to London. I haven't told you X, Y, and Z. And it's not because I was hiding it. It's because I've trained myself so that I focus on what's in control, what makes me happy. And so it's very much a mentality thing. I know lots of people that would only focus on the negative. That's all they would do. And then they would say, oh, you're lucky. And it's like, pay attention. I'm not. You're just, it's your mentality. It's your attitude. Fix
so
it.
Much of it takes practice, like practicing being in a state of contentment and not just stressing about all of the negative, because it's like the difference in the mindset between the optimist and the pessimist. And it's like, if you put, you know, the optimist if you put a pessimist in a room full of toys, they're going to start crying because they have no one to play with. But if you put an optimist in a room full of shit, they're going to start swimming through the horse crap looking for the pony. You know, it's so much of it is in how we think. And if you're fundamentally a negative person and you're always discontent, then you're always going to be looking for the next rush, the next like, oh, if only I could buy this, I'll be happy. And then you find that like you can't buy happiness. You can rent it. You can rent happiness briefly, but then it'll wear out quick, and then you're left exactly back where you started in this state of, well, if I only had this, then I'd be happy. It's like, no, you got to be happy first, and then when you have the things, then you'll find that you're, you know, content with them.
You know, they've done that with millionaires, people that have won the lottery. They've tracked their happiness essentially, and it peaks immediately, but it always goes back down because it's a mentality thing. It's not about money. Money's very useful. Like if you're someone that struggles, when you finally don't actually have to worry whether or not you can pay for a meal to be able to hang out with your friends, I can actually go to the cinema and watch this film. I don't have to worry and count my money. It's a huge, huge difference. But once you go past that barrier, honestly, the stats show that it doesn't matter how much money you make, it really, really plateaus. Especially after you've got to a point where you can afford regular holidays and you basically want for nothing other than you can't have a mansion. And at that point,
in the
it's
US,
it's done.
There was a study that found that up to about $70,000, depending on the state, you know, obviously there's different levels of, you know, what's the term I'm looking for, where you can the purchasing power parity, where depending on how much money or how far your dollar can go, how much you can buy in a different particular state, it's around give or take $70,000 a few years ago. They found that past that point, you experience diminishing returns in as far as happiness goes.
I can believe
so.
Yeah.
Once you can, purchase healthcare and you don't have to worry about your health. Once you can buy all the, food and housing, for yourself and for your kids. Also, depending on how many kids you have, that number will vary. But once you have all your basic needs taken care of and, you don't want for anything, then getting that extra private jet, it's not going to do a whole lot for you in terms of long-term happiness.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say about that ties very well into Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
You have the shelter and you have all those things at the bottom that you need, but the self-actualization, the things that come higher, it's all to do with mentality. It's all to do with happiness.
Otherwise, every single billionaire on Earth would be like Steve Ballmer, and they'd just be like, like going crazy, like super excited all the time.
Yeah. The quote which you just said, very eloquent quote actually, about wading through shit to find a pony. Was that Epicurus, right? Yeah? Is that